Welcome y'all. Doug, that always happens to me. Doug, you want to say howdy and then I'll say howdy and then we can do this thing?
Yes. Welcome, Pelican Bay. We are so delighted to have the chance to have two debates with you all today. I know you have had excellent coaching, and I've seen you before in the forum that I watched probably a number of you speak at a couple of months ago. And I was so impressed that I got in touch with Dr. Schooner and said, we got to set something up. And we're delighted. Our team has been practicing really hard, and we can't wait to hear you all in action. So good luck, and let's have some great debates.
Big appreciation to everybody behind the scenes who made this happen. And we want to especially thank the Peskies and the staff at both CCWF and here at Pelican Bay, who did a hero's lift to get the technology together and to allow this to happen. We know that this is all based on the educational mission of CDCR, and we thank you so much for the opportunity to have engagement, to have real-time debate with classmates and colleagues that we've never met before, to have connections and humanity with students almost 800 miles away is an amazing opportunity. And we want to give a big shout out to Dr. Fraley and a big shout out to our amazing students at CCWF and at Fresno. It's just a blessing to get a chance to scrap with y'all today. We look forward to intellectual engagements. All right. I think it's time to begin this first ammunition debate first, right? All right.
Hello. Okay, so let me know when. Okay, so ready? Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Jennifer. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges and fellow teammates and worthy opponents. Thank you for your time to debate this topic of ammunition manufacturers should be held accountable for the harm done by their product. Our team of colleagues are prepared to present the affirmative constructive for this policy topic. Now, let's take a moment to define the key terms in our resolution. Ammunition. Are bullets produced for civilian weapons to include rifles, handguns, and shotguns. Manufacturers are companies that produce bullets. Should, must happen. Accountable is legally responsible by monetary payment. Harm is physical, property, economic damage, for example, time off of work. Our plan of action includes implementing significant change while providing an inherent solution to reduce the problem at hand. This plan is broken down into three main points. Point one, we will present the evidence that shows ammunition causes severe harm to society. Point two, will the problem continue without new policy in force? Yes, absolutely. And our new policy plan will provide a resolution. Point three, show justification to provide for lost wages, medical expenses, and property damage with the new plan policy. Point one, the evidence that shows ammunition causes severe harm to society. According to Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, firearm violence is a preventable public health tragedy affecting communities across the United States. And what goes into that firearm? Ammunition. In 2022, 48,204 people died by firearms in the United States, an average of 1 death every 11 minutes. So before this debate is completed, 3 people would have been killed. Firearm purchases increased during the COVID-19 pandemic. The FBI reported a record high of 20 million sales in 2020 and 21. Let's talk about underage ammunition sales. The morning of May 18th, 2018, a 17-year-old armed with a shotgun and handgun walked into Santa Fe High School in Santa Fe, Texas, shot and killed 10 students and teachers, and wounded 13 others. With that purchased shotgun and handgun, He bought that ammunition online at Lucky Gunner with his real name, address, and prepaid gift card. Zero ID or age verification were required at the time of purchase. Now, tragedies like this are happening far too often and will happen again unless we enact a policy to mitigate the problem. Point 2, the problem will continue without our new policy plan enforced, providing a resolution. According to Gifford's Law, President Bush signed the Federal Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act in law in 2005. In 34 states, some form of gun industry immunity at the state level, which shields the firearm and ammunition manufacturers from many traditional lawsuits, creating a head in the sand concept for manufacturers, which shirks the roles for identifying dangerous patterns versus proactively changing behavior and leading to life-saving innovative solutions. Our policy includes the following. States that manufacturers and retailers should not sell illegal ammunition through improper channels, underage ammo purchases online. Requires manufacturers held liable for monetary damage. Provides customers to wait 14 days for weapons and ammunition. Requires that all firearms and ammunition manufacturers to hold a federal firearms license to improve the quality of business conducted while saving lives. States that the universal background checks must verify age 21 and over, no criminal background. Provides that community violence intervention programs with education. Provides that customers are only able to purchase their ammunition for weapons registered to the owner, and provides that accountability must be imposed in a civil lawsuit. That brings us to point 3, justification to provide for lost wages, medical expenses, property damage with the new policy plan. According to Harvard Law Review, manufacturers are to place markers on each bullet, casing, and core. Must be registered by Consumer Product Safety Commission by the manufacturer. The benefits of Ammunition Manufacturer Liability Act. It will force customers of ammunition to internalize costs, proper incentives to choose care and activity levels for costs and benefits. Manufacturers to pay for injuries by bullets, which will ease the burden on society and compensate injured victims. The manufacturer shall be held liable for all direct and consequential damages that arise from injuries from their ammunition and negligent misuse of firearm. Civil liability promotes community and consumer safety. Lawsuits can help incentivize industries to take a reasonable step to prevent their products or business practices from causing foreseeable risks to human life and well-being. Ammunition manufacturers should be held accountable for the harm done by their product, and our new policy plan will provide a resolution.
Roberto, 2-minute cross-examination.
Good afternoon, Jennifer. My name is Alberto. I'll be cross-examining you today. My first question is, what kind of plans do you have to make ammunition manufacturers accountable? Can you clarify again on the accountability?
Yes, thank you for that question. It's a very good question. In order to hold the manufacturers accountable, that's what our policy plan is for, to enforce that.
You mentioned the PLCAA. As part of your policy plan to repeal the PLCAA?
I'm sorry, what's that question? I didn't understand you.
As part of the plan that you and policies that you have, because you mentioned PLCAA, are you going to be repealing the PLCAA?
Yes, because we want to mitigate the manufacturers being able to bury their head in the sand and selling ammunition to people underage online. So yes.
Okay. Do you know how many bullets are carrying in Salvador?
I'm sorry, I cut out.
Do you know how many bullets are currently in stockpile?
That I do not know.
If they make 10 billion bullets each year, they are up to 500 billion bullets, and can you regulate that many bullets?
You're asking me if it can be regulated, if the amount of bullets can be regulated?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. That's our desire. We agree with you on that.
Would you consider individuals who?
I think that's time.
2 minutes.
Okay.
And thank you. I didn't know where they were.
On top, you got this. Great.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dominic Conjardo, and I will be presenting the negative construct why ammo manufacturers shall not be held liable. We live in a nation where 60% of gun-related deaths stem from unintentional shootings, such as intentional shootings and suicide. Now, I think we all can agree that our communities and our nation have been terribly impacted by gun violence. And as we come here today to listen to the appeals of the affirmative, I myself, being a father and grandfather, do have my genuine concerns and greatly understand your desire to prevent gun violence. However, I think the affirmative chose the wrong side of the debate today. When you come here with your appeals to attack ammo in 2025, which is more than just a lost cause, it is immoral and unjust to present something where there's no solution to it, especially with the current and broad immunity that shields the industry from liability under the PLCAA. That means that your plan is dead on arrival before it even starts. I mean, even if you are able to repeal the PLCAA under the current Trump administration and the NRA, your case would just be overturned in the Supreme Court. Reinstating immunity, which does nothing to prevent gun violence or the sale of ammunition or liability. I think enforcing useless policies or ammo does nothing when there's 10 billion rounds already produced annually, and billions more already exist out there in the public, such as stockpiles. Then you got people who actually just manufacture them in their homes. And what about the black market, which cannot be traced, tracked, or regulated, such as you could online? Ammo, like other products, is typically designed for lawful use, and holding manufacturers liable for how consumers choose to use these products, illegal or legally, could be seen as infringement on illegal business practices. And the industry has no control over the final use of their products after sales. I think scapegoating ammunition manufacturers is like blaming a vehicle for car theft instead of the individual who actually stole the car. The issue with firearms is the individual and the unlawful use of firearms, and you need to address the personal accountability to stop those killings or to stop the use of ammunition. I think there are serious flaws in this plan that outweigh the benefits. Forcing laws in the industry that supports over 11,000 American workers who may lose their jobs, their health care, and ability to feed their children for some symbolic gesture that does nothing to stop shootings. Ammo does not kill people. When you have legal gun owners who lawfully buy ammo for sport shooting, hunting, and law enforcement or self-defense, I mean, what is next? Going after lead miners to be held accountable for the lead they unearthed from the ground? Or maybe it's the steel industry for weaponry. I think you save lives by educating lawful gun owners and consumers to practice gun safety, or practicing safe gun storage or ammo storage for this case. You save lives by reducing illegal firearm use and addressing the root cause of gun violence, which is criminal behavior. rather than imposing ineffectual laws on law-abiding citizens or ammo. It's perpetrators, not products. Whatever the affirmative has presented about ammo liability distracts us from the real issue. It's firearms, not ammo. You already have infrastructure and laws enforced by the ATF, the NTC.
No, we're not back.
We didn't catch the last few sentences. And we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Are you?
You got a chance to pick your sentence.
Your last sentence. Oh, my last sentence.
Last two sentences.
My last sentence was.
Oh, I think it froze. They said time. They wanted to- You still got time.
You still have like
Good to go.
4:20.
Go back to the part that says that reducing firearms
Okay.
may cause, that's probably where they cut out.
So. I'm just gonna go back to my last sentence, my last paragraph. What the affirmative has presented about ammo liability distracts us from the real issue. It's firearms. You already have infrastructure and laws enforced by ATF, the NTC, to track guns and illegal distribution of firearms and ammo. You save lives by utilizing the current resources. But to create a new system to track and trace bullets, it's like tracking all those little ants that come into your home one by one. There is a better solution here to liability and saving lives. It is chasing perpetrators and policymakers, not projectiles. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michelle. I'll be doing Thank you, Dominic. That was an excellent speech. So I have a couple of questions for you. You had mentioned a few times, you said that our policy was ineffectual and symbolic and that it would be easily overturned. Is this your personal opinion?
My personal opinion, yeah, because the PLCA, it
You don't
shows.
have any backing for that. You don't have any evidence to say that it's ineffectual, symbolic, or that it would be easily overturned. It's simply your personal opinion.
I mean, look at the prior
Yes or no,
administrator.
is it your personal opinion?
Sure,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. All right, you had mentioned about that it would be similar to blaming the car manufacturer for somebody stealing the car. What is the initial purpose for having a car?
To either to go from point A to point B as effective as possible.
Right, so a car is not an inherently dangerous product. Where
Either is a bullet, either is a bullet by itself. A bullet is useless without a firearm, just like a car is useless without a driver.
Thank you for that. So, you also mentioned that education would be the primary way to save lives.
Yes, I think to educate consumers and those who buy, firearm products, yes, probably train them. Or
You agree on that point, that's what our policy will provide as well. Thank you for reinforcing that. Thank you.
They've got first affirmative rebuttal. One minute. Yeah, 4 minutes for that, 4 minutes.
All right, you guys hear me?
Yes.
My name's Erica and I'm offering the rebuttal for the affirmative. Just have a few things to bring up. You said your policy would be useless, or that our policy would be useless. However, our policy goes in depth of how we can prevent or slow down the harm that bullets cause, right? You said, you kept mentioning firearms. Firearms is not the topic of the debate. The topic of the debate is should the gun manufacturers or the bullet manufacturers be held accountable? Yes, they should be held accountable. You said that our plan is dead on arrival because we don't have a solution. We laid out a solution for you in several different aspects. We talked about how the manufacturers can be held liable. We talked about the civil liability. You said that bullets can't be tracked online. Well, if the manufacturers register and mark their bullets, when something happens, those bullets can then be traced back to the manufacturer. You mentioned perpetrators. It's the court's job to hold people liable, right? It's the, we're talking about civil liability. We're talking about monetary liability for the ammunition part of it, right? A bullet is created to cause harm, correct? That's what a bullet does. However, if the manufacturers are held accountable, they're going to pay more attention to who they're selling their bullets to, how they're going to enforce those sales. When we talk about suicides, our wait time, people think of suicide instantaneously, right? If you have a 14-day wait time for a suicide, you could prevent that person from changing their mind. So we disagree with the negative constructive.
My name's Antonio, and I want to thank Jennifer, Michelle, Erica, and all of you for participating in the debate with us. First of all, I would like to point out that our side is not truly in favor of not helping the community, right? We all want the same thing. We want gun violence to stop. We want nobody to die as a result of gun violence. And so what we argue is that as commendable as all of your arguments are, they're not gonna come to fruition due to the PLCA, to that immunity, due to, even if you manage somehow to get past, repeal that immunity, the administration that it's currently under, they get broad support by the NRA. The NRA and Trump and the conservative Supreme Court is simply not gonna allow your plan to ever come to life. As somebody who has suffered from gun violence, who has committed gun violence, I could tell you firsthand that I never went to a gun retailer, never stepped foot in another retailer to buy any ammunition. You totally neglect the criminal aspect of this. If you make bullets expensive, very hard to get a hold of, there is a healthy market for people that actually manufacture their own bullets. What you're gonna do is incentivize that and create a bigger problem by creating a bigger black market. You're not gonna save lives. And you're talking about financial liability here. How is getting somebody hurt and then asking somebody to pay you after that somebody hurt solving anything? People are gonna continue getting hurt. You're just asking for a company to pay them out. How capitalism works, let me give you, for instance, Big Tobacco. Big Tobacco, they kill people. Their business is basically to poison people. Nobody is actually going after the lighter. Nobody's actually accusing the lighter for lighting that cigarette. And even though they have managed to regulate this industry heavily, all they've done is pass that cost on to the consumer. And you're neglecting all the jobs that are tied to ammunition manufacturers, to retailers. It's like you're not even taking them into consideration. Their health insurance, their jobs, their livelihoods all go under. Because bottom line, the people that benefit from this, the CEOs, the shareholders, they're gonna keep their money. Even if you manage to get one of those companies to go bankrupt, which is, the company will go bankrupt. The wealth stays within that individual. That individual is gonna go start another company or just find a loophole, which has been stated, has been done before. Remington found the loophole after they went bankrupt from getting sued by Sandy Hook, the grieving parents of that tragedy. They managed to sue them and they managed to come back after filing for bankruptcy. And Remington is still selling their rifles. Nothing has been solved. You're going after the bullet when in reality, you're distracting from the real issue, which is the gun and the perpetrator. And you're holding good I'm not in favor of anybody owning guns, but that is a right that you have in the United States, and there is responsible gun users, and you're holding them hostages for society's ills. You're not addressing any of the societal ills that cause all this gun violence. You're just throwing money at an issue, which really solves nothing, and throwing money at an issue when people are already getting hurt. You're not, that money in your plan, there's nowhere that you mention how you would prevent it truly, because the gun violence is still gonna go on. The gun is gonna be there. The ability to manufacture bullets, it's still gonna be there. Nothing really changes with the plan that you presented. As much as I would love to see your plan come into fruition, it's just not possible. The PLCAA, which you are aware of, makes your argument no. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mo, and I'll be delivering the summary for the affirmative. Ammunition manufacturers should absolutely be held accountable for the harm done from their product. They should be liable for all direct and consequential damages that arise from injuries resulting from the ammunition they produce. And that includes physical damage, property damage, and economic damage. Ammunition is inherently dangerous and designed to cause harm. Thus, we are proposing that this accountability must be imposed in a civil suit resulting in tort liability. By requiring manufacturers to pay for the injuries caused by bullets, our proposed plan will ease the burden on society, as well as compensate those injured victims. It would encourage the manufacturer to reduce the probability that its bullets will result in injury or death. Additionally, each bullet sold in the United States must bear a mark identifying its manufacturer on both the casing and the core, and such a mark must be registered with the Consumer Product Safety Commission. As our opponent said, there is a high percentage of gun violence, so there should be plans to control this inherent dangerous weapon. We're not debating whether to take ammo away, but we are debating whether we should hold them liable. According to the Harvard Law Review, in competitive markets, the cost of a liability rule is passed on to the consumer in the form of higher prices. Under the current system, consumers have underestimated the cost of their activity and have not internalized such costs. Our plan would force consumers of ammunition to internalize costs that have been previously borne by our society and the cost of human life. Our plan would also incentivize ammo manufacturers to distribute and sell only to reputable gun clubs and retailers, to take adequate measures to ensure that shipments of bullets are not sold online, where not all retailers are required to have a federal firearms license, or heck, even verify the purchaser's age or identity. We are also requiring a wait time of 14 days, as this will possibly allow someone who wants to, say, commit suicide or go on a shooting rampage to think before they act. Let us all take heed of what happened in Santa Fe, Texas, where a 17-year-old bought ammo online with a prepaid gift card and killed 10 of his classmates and injured an additional 13. Let us take heed of the tragedy of Sandy Hook, where because of a law that gives ammo manufacturers unprecedented immunity from lawsuits, the families of the children murdered waited 10 years for any kind of monetary compensation. So yes, it is the responsibility of the ammunition manufacturers to be held accountable for the harm done by their products. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Corey Flannery, and I'll be providing the summary for the negated argument. The affirmative constructive argument presented here today by the team from CCWF made sense. The argument was grounded in sound principles. However, facts seem to be lost. My fellow team members and I have demonstrated a negated argument here today grounded in the principles of personal accountability, fairness to industry, and legal place framework already in existence. Supported by factual evidence, we were able to show that ammunition manufacturers create products for lawful purposes, such as hunting, sport shooting, and self-defense. Under product liability laws, manufacturers are held accountable when their products cause harm due to the defects in the design, manufacturing, and lack of proper warning. The responsibility of how those products are used falls squarely on the individuals who misuse them, not the manufacturers who produce them for legal and legitimate markets. The principle of individual responsibility says citizens are free to use lawful products as they see fit. Singling out ammunition manufacturers could infringe on the rights of lawful gun owners and manufacturers by shifting blame away from those who commit crimes. Punishing ammunition manufacturers for the actions of criminals or irresponsible individuals could set dangerous precedents where entire industries are blamed for the actions of a few, creating potential harm on other sectors, including the automotive and pharmaceutical industries. If similar logic was applied, there's already existing regulations to hold ammunition manufacturers liable. Ammunition used to be heavily regulated and are required to follow strict safety and quality standards. This regulation helps ensure the products are safe and used properly. Holding manufacturers accountable beyond the established regulations may overstep the reasonable legal boundaries. Manufacturers under the general product liability law, any product are held liable, any product, including ammunition, if the product is defective and causes harm. This includes cases where faulty ammunition leads to injuries, manufacturing, or death. If a manufacturer produces ammunition with a design or manufacturing defect, that directly causes harm, they could be held liable in court under the law, under traditional product liability doctrines. Ammunition manufacturers produce products. They produce products for people that choose to enjoy themselves, whether it's hunting, sports shooting. They don't produce products for people to use irresponsibly and go out and commit mass murder or mass shootings. So saying that manufacturer companies should be held accountable for the acts or the actions of somebody else, of individual, that's not right. There's already protections built into the system in play that prevents these type of things from happening, like the the protections of Lawful Commerce Act that passed by Congress. So as long as that's in place, ammunition manufacturers, distributors, and dealers, you cannot go after them with lawsuits stemming from the criminal misuse of their products. Under this law, ammunition manufacturers are generally shielded from liability when their products are used. Thank you.
Dr. Fraley? I think it's worth a round of applause from everybody, including folks back on our home campus. Debate number one. Dr. Fraley, are we given some quick reason for decision here? And it's we've got Sydney here as our third judge if you want that.
Oh, all right. Sure.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Do you want to go first or should I kick it off?
Go ahead.
Congratulations to the amazing debaters in both facilities, wonderful students, and incredible representations for your undergraduates. I give a very thin margin to the students from Fresno CCWF. And the primary reason is that of the risk of reduction of suicide argument and the fact that there will be a small reduction likely in harm. I think the Humboldt students did a fantastic job in pushing back against the likelihood that the plan would succeed and it might be rolled back in the courts. And I thought that the black market argument was excellent. But fundamentally, I think that the Fresno CCWF students eked it out just a little bit. So I have one ballot for unfortunately not the home team. Sydney? Dr. Fraley, do you want to go next?
Sure. I also have admiration for both teams. This was such a great first debate for our friends from Pelican Bay, and I look forward to more debates with our students here and at BSP. And I believe there's a team at Soledad that would be itching for a chance to debate you too. So I see a lot of great things happening. And I concur with Dr. Scherner just about exactly on point that the affirmative team did have evidence with liability, especially reducing things like suicide, reducing sales to teenagers. You know, a 17-year-old kid isn't going to have as easy a time going on the black market as somebody who knows the way of the streets a little bit better. If I would recommend one thing for the negative side, and hopefully our negative side for the next debate will think about this, having a disadvantage to the plan so that you can say, look, we're not sure how many lives their plan is going to save, but we have, you know, this great disadvantage, you know, maybe getting evidence about what would happen if the ammo industry went bankrupt, the number of jobs that would be lost, the effect on the economy, that would have, I think, really made your strategy all the more effective. And so this was an incredible first debate between our institutions, and I heartily applaud both sides, the coaches, and everybody on our staff here and your staff there that made this possible. And I will.
I think that both sides posed great arguments. I can really relate to both sides. But I do think that CCWF did meet they were more on it with the time requirements and really well spoken. So I feel that they were just a tiny bit more prepared.
Yeah. Heartbreaking moment for us, but I don't
Wait, Pelican Bay,
Doug, should we take 5 minutes between these two
Take a
debates?
5-minute break, yeah.
5 minutes to get ready. Yeah. Give people a chance to open that door. I was gonna leave the video channel, social. Get it, sir. We can't hear you.
There we go.
Here you go.
There you go.
All right, everybody ready at Pelican Bay?
Yes, sir.
All right, a little bit ironic that we're gonna have the women debating the negative side of whether the US should elect a women president, but we're looking forward to a great debate.
Absolutely. We're saying we're honored to be part of Switch Side Debating with y'all, and we appreciate the opportunity to engage in multiple perspectives together for collective intellectual engagement. We're excited to see y'all today. Thank you so much. Let's do this. Seven minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Sam. I'll be doing the affirmative constructive to support that the United States should elect a woman president. America, the corporation, values economic power and military might over healthcare, education, social equity, and the environment. These are gender political issues to keep patriarchy in place. They market toxic masculinity, promote misogyny, racism, and sexism. This type of rhetoric is effective, concise, and deliberate to keep patriarchy in place. Our current CEO draws upon the power of biopolitics, where masculinity is weaponized, blaming DEI and even a woman in the armed service, Captain Rebecca M. Lobach, for that tragic helicopter collision in DC. This cultural and political power has been wielded as a sword to extract hate and cultivate fear. But why such effort if this is the natural order? But that's just business as usual in America. The machine that feeds on its most natural resource, its people. What we've learned from old Father Time is racism and misogyny, but also that business has never been democratic and democracy should never be just business. We think it's time for new leadership, female leadership. This idea of leadership brings to mind strength, the ability to resist being moved or broken by force. Patriarchy is a systemic force that women have been resisting and enduring for far too long. Women exemplify selflessness in strength, in weakness, and in vulnerability. This is true leadership, the impossible standard that we hold only women to in this country. Now, this debate question, should we elect a woman president, for us has been a call to action, to advocate and support qualified female candidates who want to reach the pinnacle of democratic leadership in this country. The United States should elect a female president because that's just the simple truth that can only be negated by sexism and internalized misogyny. Women don't need men to speak for them, but as men of good character and quality, you will never hear us say we should not have a woman president. We are here to support gender equality and true democracy. And we don't claim to know women's struggles, but we know what it's like to be told what we can and cannot do. To truly know ourselves is to see ourselves through the eyes of others. And that empathy is how we see the glass ceiling. The glass ceiling reinforced by the patriarchal structure, which is bonded under the extreme pressure of male privilege. Right now, male leadership is the status quo, and there's harms inherent to having only male presidents. And it discourages female leadership. Kira Sabamatsu says that the overrepresentation of men in elected office can fuel the assumption that men are better political leaders and dampen interest in women candidates. By electing a female president, we will encourage female leadership. The media perpetuates gender stereotypes. When it came to coverage over Hillary Clinton, they focused on her appearance and whether or not she should smile. For Sarah Palin in 2008, they were worried about her abilities as a mother. These messages say that leadership is not feminine, and if you are feminine, you are not a good leader. These biases decrease credibility for women, for female candidates. Having a woman president will change that narrative and will help future female candidates not be trivialized. Having only male presidents promotes patriarchy and male privilege. Sheeler and Vasby explain, to combat the force of hegemonic masculinity as a requirement of presidentiality, candidates and voters alike must have the political and cultural resources needed to credibly envision presidentiality as a gender-neutral role. Continuing to advocate for women and electing a woman in office, she will be the greatest political and cultural resource to combat patriarchy. Having only male presidents will do nothing but promote gender biases and is an erosion of true democracy. This notion of merit will only be true for men. It shapes who we value and who we see fit for leadership. According to Fuchs, masculinity and whiteness are patriarchal and racist ideologies. They sustain a type of biopolitics in which the body is a space of politics and where cultural power is accumulated. Female representation disrupts that cultural power. That is why we feel like electing a woman president will solve those harms. We know that it's going to take collective action and advocacy because that is an essential component for progress and for women in politics. We should elect a woman president to solve the harms inherent to the status quo, to encourage female leadership, combat patriarchy, and fight for gender equality and true democracy. I want to introduce Jennifer Piscopo to the discussion before I close. She's a professor of gender politics at the University of London. This is in reference to Claudia Sheinbaum's success in Mexico. Having women in office shapes not only policy, but also culture. Even if all forms of gender equality are not solved, I think it matters that now there won't be any little girl in Mexico who thinks a woman can't be president. The significance of that alone is great. We should elect a woman president to encourage female leadership. We should elect a woman president to break the glass ceiling. The glass ceiling reinforced by the patriarchal structure. The glass ceiling bonded under the extreme pressures of white male privilege. We should elect a woman president so there won't be any boy, girl, woman, or man in this country who thinks a woman can't. Thank you.
Girl power.
All right, we won.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I loud enough for you?
Yeah, that's loud, that's perfect.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to debate a very controversial subject. My name is Linda, and I'll be doing the cross-ex for the other side. Is it Seth?
Sam.
Okay, hi. You give what seems reasonable arguments, but we find they are fatally flawed. For clarification, what is your definition of true leadership?
Being true leadership is not just wielding power and an inherent power, but having strength that is built over time, over hardship, over dealing with a lot of burdens. And we feel like women are the perfect candidate for that because they exemplify that.
Okay. And can only a woman hold these qualities?
No, I don't think only a woman hold these qualities, but I think we do need a woman to set the tone for the rest of the country.
Hi, hang on, we're having trouble. There you go. Okay, we're back. By using the word should, you make it imperative the US elect a woman. Isn't that like saying a woman could be elected president should she be the most qualified? Yes?
we're always gonna say that a woman should be president, because it was a question that's posited to us. So we wouldn't say, no, a woman shouldn't be president. We say a woman should be president. Oh, really, a woman needs to be president. You're right about that.
Oh, sorry. Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Mimi. Welcome to our distinguished judges and our opponents. Thank you for joining us for this debate that the U.S. should elect a woman president. We disagree that the U.S. should elect a woman president. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, the term should is used to express duty or obligation. To say that a woman should be president is to say our nation has an obligation of a duty to elect a woman. Any nation that is based on equality and freedom of choice should elect any qualified person to lead our nation. A woman could be president if they have the characteristics of a valued president. A man could also be president if they too possess these characteristics. I would like to lead into our main points. Main point number 1, to achieve the goals of a just society, we should not narrow our focus on electing a woman president. The decision criteria should be electing the right candidate for the job of presidency. According to the California League of Women Voters, the position of president should support programs and policies to prevent or reduce poverty and to promote self-sufficiency for individuals and families. Our opponent's plan does not meet the resolution if narrowly marginalizing the criteria of a president. Main point number 2, according to the website ushistory.org, in rating the presidents from the past, most Americans believe the following lists are common leadership qualities that good presidents appear to have: a strong vision for the country's future, an ability to put their own times in the perspective of history, effective communication skills, character and integrity, wise appointments, and an ability to work with Congress. These qualities are what we must seek in a president. Instead of being gender-based, the position of presidency could be held by a woman or a man. It is whoever will be the best for the job. Main point number 3, in a report entitled Systemic Inequality in American Democracy, the author stated, the United States is a contradiction. Its founding principles embrace the ideas of freedom and equality, but it is a nation based on the systemic exclusion and suppression of communities of color. By specifying the U.S. should elect a woman president, we are disproportionately excluding all others that would qualify for the job of presidency. We cannot continue to be a nation that protects discriminatory policies or sanctions new damaged ones either. Main point number 4, the feminist movement appears to be in agreement with equality for all. The feministproject.com released an article asserting that the objectives of feminism are comprehensive and span various dimensions of human experience. At its core, feminism seeks to dismantle hierarchies that perpetuate gender inequality, while simultaneously advocating for the rights and voices of all individuals, regardless of their identity. Our opponents call for a woman president, and we emphasize a president could be a woman or a man. We emphasize the quality of the person rather than their gender. Main point number 5, our opponent's plan would still create an inherency stock issue by electing a woman for president because according to Scholars Strategy Network, one comprehensive study finds that higher percentage of women in state legislatures are focused more on the adoption of only 8 out of 34 women-friendly policies. They focus more on child support and abortion rights and not furthering women's health or protection from domestic violence. This study shows that although a woman is elected in a position, she will not work as hard to adopt these vital laws that are inherent for women, which is why the focus should be qualities of a leader, not just gender. And for our last point, In an article by Newsweek, the potential candidates for women Republicans in 2028 all support Trump's male hierarchy policies and ideas. Nikki Haley, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and Laura Trump. Do we really want to see what's been going on for the last couple of years? Absolutely not. So thank you, judges and opponents, for this opportunity. Remember, the decision criteria should be electing the right candidate for the job.
Okay, hello, my name is Davion, and I will be asking the cross-examination questions. So first off, I want to ask, why are you so afraid to elect a woman as president? If a man who has been convicted of 46 felonies can be president, then why can a woman not become president?
I didn't say a woman couldn't be. I said the right candidate for the job should have that presidency, whether it be man or woman.
But shouldn't a woman who are overqualified become president? Because this is sounding like a gender thing right here.
I don't understand the question.
Okay, let me reframe it.
Please.
Excuse me. So you said whoever is overqualified.
Right.
Okay, so doesn't woman have strong leadership qualities that make her overqualified to become president?
Wouldn't a man?
I mean, yes, you are right about that. A man would. But I'm saying, aren't we the land of the free and home of the brave? Shouldn't we be a part of this change right here?
Yes, thank you. And that goes with our argument that we should elect the right person and have the freedom to choose whether it be a woman or a man. So thank you. Yes, we agree.
Okay. So would you agree that patriarchy and male privilege exist in society?
Yes, it does.
So do you think that this is so ingrained in our minds that we can't fathom seeing a woman as president?
I don't know. I think we need to come back to the point of it would be whoever would be qualified for the position. So it could be a woman and it could be a man. It's whoever would be qualified.
Okay. So how would you explain to a little girl who has dreams and aspirations of being president that she can't fulfill this dream? That she will grow up in a woman, as a woman in a man's world.
Time's up. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Francisco. And so the right candidate for the right characteristics, but what we're thinking is that it's all part of patriotism, and your arguments are all enfolded in patriotism. And as far as the hierarchy and what you guys are saying about the hierarchy and dismantling the hierarchies, we feel like the highest hierarchy is patriotism, and that your whole mindset is set up within the scope of patriotism. And we ask for the imagination to have a woman to be president, and so that we can have change that way, because of the whole system that has been oppressed in our nation. In our nation, there's always been a voice of oppression in our nation, resisting the patriotism that's been going on. And we feel like the women have all the qualities, and we feel like that women should we feel like so we want to turn the curve, and for true democracy, allowing a woman in office will clear the discourse for equality that's been sought by the resistant forces of oppression in our nation. Visibility is the best answer for this need. And as a woman, as our president, to break the glass and rearrange the discrimination ideology that has been seeped into our internalized misogyny that equates to sexism.
as my peers point out, we would like to change the narrative and this leads and it starts by visibility, putting a woman as a president. And that's like our argument. Thank you.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Candace and I'll be doing the rebuttal. First of all, you guys make great points. I mean, girl power. I'm all for, I'm over here pumped up. However, you guys talk about oppression and how as women we've been oppressed and it's time for us to step up as leaders. But I think by the evidence we have, by you saying that we should, you're saying that our nation is obligated. It's our duty to elect a woman president, right? Haven't they felt that a man should lead our nation? So isn't that showing they feel our nation has duty and obligation for a man to lead this country? So women have been excluded, right? So now you're just going to reverse the tables and exclude men. So where is the equality in that? Where is the leadership role in that, right? So we're not saying that a woman can't be president. And you guys gave no characteristics of leadership skills to even run for president. What does a woman have to possess, or anybody have to possess of any gender, to qualify as a presidential candidate? You guys were unclear, right? So our qualities that we said, our leadership qualities, was a strong vision for the country's future, an ability to put their own times in the perspective of history, effective communication skills, character and integrity, wise appointments, and ability to work with Congress. So I don't believe that a woman should be elected president if she doesn't have these qualities, right? That's like saying I could be president. And we know that that's not true because I don't have these qualifications, right, to run for presidency. So a woman should not be president just because she's a woman. And so we already gave you the statistics that women really don't adopt policies that are women friendly, right? We said that 8 out of 34 only adopt policies that are women friendly. And these are women that are already in legislature positions. You guys left out the minorities. We've only had one Black president. So you guys are just cutting out men and other minorities, period, and not giving everybody a chance. So I feel like we're still in the same spot where we started by saying only a woman should lead the country, right? Not all women are qualified to be president. That's it.
My name is Bill, and I'm here to support women as a president. So first off, we're not excluding nobody, and we're not excluding minorities either. Condoleezza Rice would have made a perfect example. Even though she was a Republican, I may not have agreed with her, but she was more than qualified. And I don't see why any of you ladies would doubt yourselves, because I bet you're all great women, mothers, grandmothers, and would be more than qualified to be leaders in the communities if you ever got out. So Candace or Mimi, you can do it if you want. True leadership is not being able, not always to use force. Sometimes it's being able to just sit down and talk and empathize with the other side. Men have been doing that forever and creating problems all over the place. Why couldn't a woman be up there and hear what the other side said? Some arguments might say that, oh, other countries will not respect us. And I think they'll respect us more by us putting a woman president there and sending a woman to these foreign countries and stuff. As I said, the most macho country in the world, Mexico, elected their first woman president. Shine bomb. So, I mean, if Mexico could do it, anybody could do it. Why not the US? What prevents the US from doing it is patriarchy, male privilege. All that keeps a woman down from achieving their post. I mean, think about it. Would we see Candace Clark or any of the women, how far they reached in the WNBA if it wasn't for Title IX? So women have been given an edge and said, sometimes people need help to get where they're going. It's happened before. So why couldn't it be with putting a woman up for the presidency? We're not saying just anybody. Women, plenty of women are qualified. they still have to go through the votes in like their congressional districts, the Democratic convention, the Republican convention. If they make it, shit, let's vote for them. Why not? That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Presenting our summary. We do agree that a woman could be elected for presidency. However, ask yourself, would you rather have the option to vote for a qualified candidate or be forced into voting and electing a less than qualified candidate because they fit the gender criteria? A woman could be our president if she had the characteristics of a valued president. Therefore, anyone could be a candidate to be our nation's president despite their gender. Qualifications should be based solely on equality and inclusivity. By saying that the US should elect a woman president, it's marginalizing all other individuals using gender as a sole qualification. The United States founding principles would not be embracing the ideals of freedom and liberty for all, because it would be suppressed by the qualifications that define a valued president are based on character principles rather than gender. Having a strong vision for the country's future and the ability to put their own time and perspectives of history, effective communication skills, character and integrity, wise appointment, and the ability to work with Congress. Anyone could captivate these qualifications and effectively be our president. The goal is to create a just society. By being gender specific, saying the United States should elect a woman president, we are disproportionately excluding all others. In the comprehensive study by Scholars Network, it found that a higher percentage of women in state legislators are associated with adopting only 8 out of 34 women-friendly policies. Again, this is why the focus should be on the qualities of a leader, not just gender. We cannot be a nation that upholds patriarchal discriminatory policies, sanctions, or implement biased views and actions. Let's focus on the word could rather than should. I'll leave you with this. You could elect a qualified valued president and should always have the right to choose. Electing a woman president does not erase and solve the historical inequalities in the United States. Thank you.
About to make Dr. Fraley go first.
All right. Congratulations on a fantastic debate. Once again, very impressed by our friends from Pelican Bay. I'm proud of our own team. Considering the fact that a few months ago, probably nobody in either room had debated, it's a testament to your hard work and the excellent coaching that we could have such a good debate. And I will go first, and I will preface this decision by saying that I think that the affirmative had the argument to win the debate if they would have in rebuttals emphasized it the most, because both teams agree that patriarchy is bad. You had some fantastic evidence in your first speech that the act of electing a woman counters the media narrative. It creates a symbolic groundswell that a woman can be president. And if that had been an argument that would have been addressed and extended in rebuttals, I probably would have gone for the affirmative team. Also, the affirmative had a second really good argument in the last speech about the Title IX analogy, but that was a brand new issue in the last rebuttal. If that would have been part of your constructive speech and you would have gone with it for the whole debate, I love that argument, but it had to be in the constructive speech. So what I did go for the negative on, especially the evidence that they read and that the negative team extended in rebuttals, that women only adopt women-friendly policies on 8 out of 34 issues, and that there are women candidates out there who are big MAGA supporters. And I don't think Laura Trump is probably going to be the person to put an end to patriarchy in America. She would probably make it worse. And so I would have wanted to hear answers to those arguments to be convinced that the mere act of electing a woman alone would be sufficient to get the things we need to overcome patriarchy. But I think if we did this debate again, you might make those arguments and pull them out because those are really good arguments.
I am 80% with you, Dr. Fraley. I saw the last bits of debate a little bit differently. And fundamentally, I think my suggestion for our team is going to be to focus more on that line by line clash. And I think that there was enough of a threat of an advantage coming through from the affirmative side. I was kind of impressed with the affirmative summary. And I thought that that Title IX argument, I had it mapped out as responsive to a previous argument that was kind of threaded. So in the world that I allowed that Title IX argument, I found that there was an advantage to having a woman president. And the disadvantages, although very, very close, again, a 49-51 kind of thing. So I wind up voting for the affirmative in this situation for Poly Humboldt. And our tiebreaker, I think, is...
Again, I feel that everybody did a great job. Everybody made great points, but I am gonna vote for the affirmative side this time, Cal Poly Humboldt, solely because I feel that we have had qualified women candidates many times. And, you know, they end up not making it because of that indoctrined patriarchy in our society. So I think it's time to break that.
Dr. Fraley, can I just give a few words just at the tail end here? Is that okay?
Please do.
I just want to say, the students at CCWF and Fresno, you have given us stuff to aspire to. Organizational skills, oratory, credibility, powerful speaking. You inspire us to get stronger in our advocacy for the chance that we can have a clash again someday. And we want to honor you. And I also want to give a big shout out to everybody behind the scenes who has shared to help make this happen. It's a ton of work and it means a lot that we could be in this space. I honor every single student in this room and it's a blessing to be in this space with y'all. Thank you very much.
I agree, and I thank not only all of you and the coaches, but everybody that had to work on the technology, that had to work on the permissions. This isn't like us on campus at Fresno State calling up Fresno City College and say, hey, let's come over and we'll do a debate this afternoon. Mountains have to be moved for us to have these debates, and these debates are so worth it. And I appreciate the people. I mean, obviously, Dr. Max and I, you don't need to convince us that debate is really important. But a lot of the people that have to do all of the legwork to make these debates happen, they might not believe in the benefits of debate. If they watch this debate today, they'll change their mind, but they may not believe in it. And so I'm just so thankful that this can happen, and I can't wait to have more debates. And I can tell you that I'm going to be telling the guys at BSP that they better bring their A game or they're going to be in trouble, because there's some great debaters at Pelican Bay.
That's right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all. I see Crystal Song out there, one of our CSG folks. Thank you so much. Great to see you. All the guests and visitors, we appreciate you. Another round of applause for the amazing debaters. Take care, y'all. Thanks, Steve. Do you have anything you got to say, Steve?
No, just congratulations. And I just want to appreciate all the guests who showed up and supported this effort, and the folks at both CCWF and Pelican Bay that made it happen. So we'll look forward to the next one. Take care, all.
Thank you.
Oh, people in that chat.